In August 2018, the world was horrified by the story of a Colorado father who murdered his pregnant wife and 2 young daughters. His name was Chris Watts, and within days, he became one of the most hated men in America. But while the spotlight focused on Chris, another name kept surfacing. Not as a victim, not as a killer, but as something far more complicated. Nichol Kessinger, the Mistress. She wasn't charged. She wasn't even considered a suspect. But millions still believe she knows more than she let on. She Googled his wife's name before they even disappeared. She deleted her texts the night the bodies were found. And she searched how to prepare for an interview with the FBI while the nation was still looking for Shanann and the kids. Was Nichol Kessinger simply naive? Or was she hiding something? This is the woman at the center of one of the most chilling murder cases in modern American history. And the internet still hasn't forgiven her. You're about to hear a true story made of timelines, data, court transcripts, and one big unanswered question. What did she know? And when did she know it? Subscribe to What the Verdict for weekly deep dives into the real trials, witnesses, and courtroom drama that will leave you speechless. Section 1. Who was Nichol Kessinger? Nichol Kessinger was a 30-year-old geologist working for an oil and gas contractor in Colorado. She had no criminal record, no kids, never married, described by co-workers as smart, reserved, and professional. She met Chris Watts in June 2018 at work. He was quiet, a bit shy, but she said he came off as soft-spoken and charming. He told her he was separated, that the divorce was almost finalized, that he and his wife were no longer living together. None of that was true, and Nichol said she didn't know it. Not at first. Section 2. The secret relationship. Their affair escalated quickly. They called, they texted, they saw each other 4 to 5 times a week. He brought her lunch, she cooked him dinner. They even discussed what their future children might look like. Phone records later revealed they exchanged over 1,960 text messages in just over a month. But here's where it gets strange. Nichol Googled Shanann Watts, Chris's wife, on July 24th, 3 weeks before the murders. She also searched for wedding dresses and marrying your mistress. She claims she didn't know he was still living with his wife. But her Google history suggests otherwise. Section 3. The murders. On the morning of August 13th, 2018, Chris Watts strangled his wife Shanann in their bedroom, then smothered their 2 daughters, Bella and Celeste, inside his truck. He loaded all 3 bodies into his vehicle and drove 45 minutes to a remote oil site. There, he buried Shanann in a shallow grave and stuffed his daughters' bodies into separate crude oil tanks. That same day, he texted Nichol like nothing happened. She later said he seemed weird, off, and distant. She asked if something was wrong. He said, "Just dealing with a lot." He never mentioned the murders. She never asked about the news of his missing wife. Section 4. The deleted texts. On August 14th, the day after Shanann and the girls were reported missing, Nichol did something odd. She deleted all her messages with Chris Watts. Every text, every photo, every call log. That same night, she Googled, "Can deleted text messages be recovered? How to prepare for an FBI interview." Did people hate Amber Fry, Scott Peterson's mistress? Why delete everything if you didn't know anything? Section 5. What she told the FBI. 3 days after the murders, Nichol voluntarily went to the police. Over the next several weeks, she gave multiple interviews to the FBI and Colorado Bureau of Investigation. She claimed she had no idea Chris was still with Shanann. She had no knowledge of the murders. She was devastated and felt manipulated. She told investigators she had nothing to hide. Yet she refused to do a polygraph. She asked to speak off the record, and she continued to change her timeline of events across interviews. Section 5. What she told the FBI. 3 days after the murders, Nichol voluntarily went to the police. Over the next several weeks, she gave multiple interviews to the FBI and Colorado Bureau of Investigation. She claimed she had no idea Chris was still with Shanann. She had no knowledge of the murders. She was devastated and felt manipulated. She told investigators she had nothing to hide. Yet she refused to do a polygraph. She asked to speak off the record, and she continued to change her timeline of events across interviews. Section 6. Public backlash. When the case hit the media, the internet exploded. People didn't just blame Chris Watts, they turned on Nicholas. Why? Because while Chris admitted guilt, Nichol remained vague. She never did a public interview. She never showed emotion on camera. She disappeared. The public saw her as cold, calculating, and distant. Was it fair? Maybe not. But in a case this horrific, people wanted someone else to blame. Section 7. Psychological profile. FBI analysts described Chris Watts as a covert narcissist, a man who bottled up resentment until it exploded. But what about Nichol? Some armchair psychologists speculated that her obsession with starting a new life, her Googling wedding dresses, her new beginning talk, may have planted the seed for what Chris did. There's no proof. But emotionally, she became a scapegoat for the world's rage. Section 8. The letters and phone logs. Chris and Nichol stopped speaking after his arrest. But in his jailhouse letters to friends and reporters, he made chilling comments. If it wasn't for her, I don't think this would have happened. She showed me a life I never thought I'd have. She wanted kids. I gave her what she wanted. Nichol never responded publicly, but many believe these statements imply she pressured him to start fresh, without his family. Section 9. Witness protection? In the aftermath, rumors swirled that Nichol Kessinger had entered witness protection, that she'd changed her name, moved states, and started over. Why? Because she received death threats. Her family was harassed. Internet sleuths posted her address, job, and relatives' names. She vanished. To this day, no one knows exactly where she is. Section 10. What she might still be hiding. Here's what we do know. She deleted texts. She lied about when she knew Chris was married. She Googled Shanann long before the murders. And she took the steps of someone who wanted to avoid exposure, not someone who was completely innocent. Is that proof of guilt? Number. But it's enough to keep people asking questions. If she was manipulated, why so many cover-ups? If she was honest, why so many inconsistencies? To this day, the public believes Nichol Kessinger wasn't just the mistress. She was the match. Chris Watts made the choice to murder his family. But the storm that led to that choice was filled with lies, secrets, and one very mysterious woman. Nichol Kessinger may never be charged. She may never speak again. But she remains the ghost behind a crime that destroyed 3 lives and left the world asking, what did she know? And why does it still feel like she got away with something? If this story had you screaming at your screen, you're not alone. At What the Verdict, we bring you the most twisted, real-life courtroom dramas and criminal breakdowns that make you say, what the fuck did I just watch? Hit that subscribe button, because the truth is always worse than fiction.